Damn, that's a pretty wild start screen right there. Alright, so this is another weekly Let's Try of another furry visual novel. This one's pretty obviously 18 plus, so proceed with caution. Wild title screen, damn. They're both stabbed through by the same spear. Not immediately clear if it's two characters that are meant to be bonded or if it's the forms of one person going in and out of being transformed into a werewolf. The moon being Moontouched and all that. There's a goopiness here, but it might be meant to be tied to the tree imagery here. It might be sort of like a druid werewolf situation. And then the arm tattoos look like the stuff on the wolf. And those seem to be more... I mean, they're both kind of artificial in their own way, but that's just straight up tattoos. But also, I'm slightly amused by this part. I'm like, get you a man that you can wear like sandals. This game is intended for mature audiences. Depiction of explicit gay sexuality, mature themes, and non-gratuitous wounds/blood will be present. I forgot to turn my controller on. This game contains infrequent scenes with bright flashes. Viewer discretion is advised. You must be 18 years or older to play. Hey, they actually tell you to press H to hide the HUD. That's funny. Oh, and it also has mouse overs for lore. And there's a living codex, which you get to via the codex button. There's a lot going on here. The visual novel will now follow the experience of a human protagonist as they prepare body, heart, and mind for a deeply erotic and spiritual ritual that will see them transforming into a werewolf, a great and sacred honor in the world that they are a part of. The story will feature 5 possible ritual slash love interests, each with their own stories and relationships to explore. There will not be set routes in the traditional sense, rather the player will choose among the lot who they spend the time with during each day as the story unfolds. Certain actions, as well as how often an individual character is chosen, will affect your affinity with that character, progressing the story and deepening your bond. There are no set outcomes for these lads. Their hearts can be broken, they might fall in love, or they can simply fulfill their duty in assisting the player in the final ritual. It's all up to you. Huh. It's all being explained up front, too. The scars of the past lie upon the lands and in the hearts of men and wolves. Truths lie buried. Ancient forces begin to stir. Do you have the strength to push beyond what you think is possible? To give yourself to a longing beyond your ken? I hope you enjoy your time with it. Chapter 1. To Hear the Howl. In the deepest chambers of every heart there lies a void. An endless well of black that yearns in tides of great hunger. Ooh. Look at all that. This game's aesthetically insane. Okay. Come, oh, we have to key. When brought to the eroding edge, deep within the soul, most cower in awe at its expanse, brought to their knees by its pining, and left to flee back to the surface, where the hunger is but a whisper. Mama? Where? Dad, I can't see him anymore. Some seem content in feeding this void of longing with what they can find. With the sweetness of love, the passion of lust, with blood, with power. Yet still it finds us. Still it pulls on us, so close, so primal. Don't you look back, keep your eyes on... Perhaps in our avoidance of this void, we deny it the one thing it seeks to consume. A hunger that is only sated once we turn to face it, naked in its blackness. Mama? Please, get up, Mom. We have to keep... Okay, every time they say key, I think they're about to say keep going. I was like, keel or something. What do they mean? Longing is a song of death, not to be fulfilled, not to be ignored. It is to be bowed down before and burned within its embrace. Mama, please get up. Humbly breathing in its light. I wonder. Do the gods feel it too? Ah, hi. Wild. Okay. Oh. My voice quivers in streams made visible by the cold morning air. A dream. As I watch my words drift through what little light pierces my tent, my hand glides up the warmth of my side, fingers rippling over the landscape of muscle and subtle bones until I find it. A scar as cold as the air on my parted lips rests upon my ribs and pulls at the warmth of my palm. Before I slip deeper into contemplation, I hear a gruff voice bellow beyond the thin skin of the tent, a familiar voice calling my name. Default name is Soren. Ooh, what does that say? Anoam? An Anoam? Soren. Hey, Soren. It's time we set out. You've overslept. A gray paw pushes through the leather flap, delivering a torn piece of bread, now being held inches away from my face. A chuckle breaks the lingering haze as my dream as I take the bread from his loose grip. Slightly warm from its time spent in his palm. Breadless, the paw begins to retreat into the warmth of the day before I speak up. What? Not gonna help me up. The reluctant paw halts and flops open. I grasp it firmly, knowing I'm about to be... Fuck, it's fucking cold out here. What's up with the audio, I wonder? Let's see. It's not very low. Let's just try to turn up a fair bit on my end. I don't really hear the game at all. The young sun does little to soften the blow of the cold morning air hitting my skin. The hair on my limbs and chest rises in response as I reach for my clothes. Hello, sir. Mouth animation? Insane. They have mouth animation, they blink. Insane amount of like fur detail to go for and texture in a character you're gonna have to like pose and emote with and stuff like that. That is not what you expect a visual novel sprite to look like, damn. Huh. Your fault for sleeping naked. Eat that bread down and pack your things. That should warm you up. And savor it. That might well be your last meal for a while. A little smile. The sight of Anoam... I'm so sorry. Banishes the last lingering emotions that my dream etched into my mind. We're set to converge with the Silver Boughs party on the southern pass tonight. Bows or bows? Okay, there's a lot I'm gonna choke on here, apparently. It's been, what, 5 suns since we've seen our sister tribe? 6 since the River Festival. Right. Gods. The River Festival. I can hardly remember that night. I certainly can. I glare at him through a smile, and his tail slightly tucks, a sign his memory returned to him. Had to drag your drunken ass home. We couldn't even make it to your mat before you brought us both to the floor. Heh. That was fun, I think. You weren't exactly sound and sober yourself there, pup. I woke up and you curled up next to me. Took me a few baths to get all that drool out. Yeah, well, you made for a good enough bedding. Speaking of, think we'll be able to set up camp before the moon rises? Should take us the better part of the day to get to the pass at our pace. From there we'll descend into the Cantharos. Should make it just in time for the opening ceremonies. You might have to set up in the dark, but knowing you, you'll be awake for a while. I happily chew at the bread, the smoke of the now doused fire in the heart of our little encampment fluttering between us. He came to me in my dream again last night, just before you woke me. Did he now? Those will only get stronger as we draw closer to the rend. Still, an auspicious blessing. His large paws begin to place a collection of tools and provisions back into his worn leather pack. Flakes of bread crust fall from his knife as he sheaths it before slipping it in alongside what I presume to be the rest of the loaf wrapped in old linen. And what did he show you? That night. His paws hesitate for a moment midway through his motions before stirring again, his calm eyes unchanged. It was almost a memory. The black trees piercing the snow, the fading warmth of her arms. It's already slipping away. The emotion was sharp, though. Then, from the blackness, he emerged. The trees began to twist and veil like smoke. I felt warm. Perhaps it was a memory after all. I let his words hang for a moment. His voice sounds heavy and reflective. I do remember a wolf approaching that night. I do remember a wolf approaching that night, yet the last time I checked, you're not a deity. Unless you're the weeping wolf incarnate and you've been a better liar than I thought. We can check what this means. Weeping wolf. Odirime. The great bestial spirit of frost, who spurned his maker, cast the land in ice in a final attempt to save mankind a long time ago. In the waning days of the Rending War. Banished to the chill of the moon for his transgressions, he forged the tether betwixt beast and man, giving form and divine covenant into those sacred Moontouched, that he might walk the earth once more through their eyes. I break my sight away from his smirk, to eye his tail gently gliding across the ground, wet leaves and mouse-tail twigs clinging to it briefly. Alas, I am not he, and you're lucky for it. One might wonder if divinity itself would be enough to humble the likes of you. Hey now, I'm only disrespectful towards you. I'm touched. Look, his ear kicks. There's so many little details. Way more little animations than I expected. Although it's somewhat stuck to the stiffness of being like a pretty static character because of the level of detail. The arms move around though. Let's see, we share a light laugh at in the rising sunlight. The head turns too. All right. Odirime saved you that night, not I. He led me to you and your mother. When I found you, you were all but ice. It's the same thing, yeah. He glances up, piercingly white eyes meeting mine before they fall upon my scar. The mark he left is as much a blessing to your soul as it is a curse unto your life. For you to awaken as a moon called, it is similarly my greatest source of pride and perhaps my deepest well of fear for you. Anoam, you know as well as I that the call pulls at me. I can do this. My body feels strong enough. If Odirime did save me that night, then he guides me yet again. Unto the Cantharos, to meet those called and changed before me, and to become Moontouched in turn. We should look into Moontouched. Moontouched, blessed beings who, upon the consummation of their training and rituals during the moonfall, are granted spiritual audience with the Weeping Wolf. No longer merely men, these blessed ones clad themselves in earth and element, forming a body of fur and fang in service of the great bestial spirit, Elderheim. Okay, so... clad themselves in earth and element to form a body of fur and fang. So it's like some kind of like transformation golem-y kind of thing going on there. Like they do craft a new body out of nature essentially, and then that becomes the wolf, which matches up with the elements of folklore that I'm not well versed in, but do know exist. Just as you did. I know, Soren. I've known this day would come, though I never realized how quickly it would arrive. He clears his throat gently and rises with his pack in paw, slinging it over his shoulder and adjusting his position to better fit across his broad back. I see the fire in you is strong. That's good. You'll need it for what's to come. But for now, you're still a pup, and one that's holding our journey at port. Pack your things. I smile and offer him a grateful nod before turning back towards my tent, the leather flap now warm in my hands. Soren? Or Soren? When I turned back around to face him, his eyes have a whisper of sadness in them. Did he speak to you? No, he didn't. Just fixed his eyes on mine as the dream began to tear around us. First thing I heard was you calling my name. Enoam gives a silent nod before returning to his preparations. Is speaking to him a good or bad omen? It takes a few moments for me to collect my things together. We packed as light as possible for what was already been nearly 2 weeks on the road. I forced my now rolled tent into my pack alongside my cherished deerskin mat before pushing my hand deep into the pouch on the side, fingertips searching for an old friend. There you are. Warmth seeps into my fingers as I pull out the familiar stone from its nightly resting place. Its smooth black surface glints slightly in the light. I bring it to rest against my scar, the warmth spreading across my ribs and the ambient pain I've learned to live with quelling in its gentle glow. I wonder if transformation will affect the scar and pain at all? Also, the stone is warm somehow? I'm surprised that still soothes you. Most of its quality would have long since lost its magics, so yes, it is up to something. I wrap a thin linen bandage around my torso, making sure to secure the stone in place at the heart of my scar. Huh? Well, I suppose I truly am blessed then. It had begun to fade, but she still keeps me warm enough, still grateful for it. Enoam smiles warmly, probably feeling proud of the gift he gave me many moons ago, as I pat at my side happily. Maybe we'll find another in the Cantharos for you. Come on then, we have a long way ahead of us. The Cantharos, a giant crater nestled in the heart of the realm, a chalice holding ancient memories of times lost, when great spirits walked the earth. Now men and wolves alike travel onto the sacred rend at the call of the moon to receive its bestowal, in reverent duty. Enoam takes care to spread what's left of the wet ash and fading embers before unceremoniously turning to leave. I can't help but steal one last lingering look at the small campsite that housed us for the night before shifting my gaze out onto the wide wilderness lying naked before me. My heart quivers slightly. We're nearly there. Day 0. What does that even mean? How can it be day 0? Are we a sketcher? Do we sketch? This is us. We're extremely good at drawing, if that's how we drew him sleeping somewhere. It's like getting the art book for the Dark Crystal or something. I guess those are all the stops along the way to where they're going for. a topic, it's like, it says like Virdia, medicinal wildflower found in the foothills of the Lamb something mountain range. I guess it makes sense that the part that I can't read is probably the name of the mountain range, so it's not a familiar word necessarily. I think the thing in the top right corner is the Cantharos, which would make sense. That's our destination, right? This is a challenging handwriting to read. It's very dense. The spire of something, something... Yeah. I tried. For as tired as my feet have become on the long road Anoam and I have taken, I can't help but feel they are strengthened anew today. Tonight will mark the beginning of the moonfall ceremonies, and the beginning of the end of my simple humanity. Moonfall, an auspicious celebration dedicated to the rituals that transform chosen men into moon-touched wolves. Once the lunar wolves divine the next moonfall, moon-called humans and moon-touched wolves from every creed and clan converge on the hollow lands of the Cantharos to partake in this reverent celebration. I feel like the text goes a little too far to the right where it gets hard to read without the background. Anoam talks to the wild. The wild. Anoam talks to the wind, and as we walk along canyon ridges, down over dry riverbeds, and through old groves. Good. And what is Osiris? A small blue flower found along the creeks that weave through the forests of Cantharos, not found outside the sacred rend. Its use? He has filled these 2 weeks with near constant flow of trials and tests that echo the training I've undergone the past 5 moons. Osiris is a blessed flower to the Tian clans of the eastern coast. Their druids utilize it to alleviate the pain induced by ritual bonding with the Moontouched. Good. That is its most relevant use, though it has other practical reaches as well. And what of the themic vines? By now I've learned of the art of absent-mindedly answering him to his satisfaction, allowing my mind to glide over the foreign landscape stretching out around us. Themic vines are also endemic to the Rend, normally poisonous, until boiled with a blend of other medicinal herbs. It produces an altered, dreamlike state of consciousness that is usually profound or spiritual in nature. It looks like we're fading off. My eyes flutter along the trail as I drone out the answer. A landscape of autumn wildflowers and fallen trees hug at the animal run we follow. Such a bounty our world holds. These lands I've longed to walk but never dared to dream that I would. I find myself amidst an almost overwhelming union of bliss and wonder, along with a subtle sadness. I am bound to the trail behind the towering wolf as he leads us through these unknown worlds. Yet in my heart, I yearn to spend days and weeks in some of these places, drinking deep from their novelty and untapped prosperity. I don't know why I'm misreading so much right now. The boughs are all I've known since Anoam brought me to them in the thawing wake of that cold night. A cage of trunks and canopies, beautiful and confining. A fragment of my dream this morning glints through my mind, only to be replaced by a gentle gratitude. I owe much more than my life to Odirime, the weeping wolf. By his call, I am walking this unknown soil, the doors to my cage flung open far behind me. Look at these backgrounds. The curl of that branch, there's like ruins here, but they're ancient. These markers. Something spiky going on here. Several hours of silence pass as the path we walk becomes more tedious and challenging to navigate. I look up to see Anoam turned back toward me, with his pack resting against a fallen tree. He waves to me before unfastening the cloak and laying it upon the back of the trunk. By the time I reach him, the wolf is sitting comfortably in the shade, patting his empty water skin. Finally caught up, The last mile was a bit rough. So says the man with trunks for legs and hardened paw pads. I draw in a breath and look around us for the first time in a while, realizing just how different this land is sculpted from where we began the day. This forest is beautiful. It's as if the land fights against the weight of the trees, piercing the ground for sunlight. I hop from rock to rock with a confident stride. Poetic. It's said these lands bore the weight of a thunderous battle in the waning days of the great spirits. The scars of that time radiate from the brim of Cantharos. Okay, so something's up there. A conflict disrupted everything. I'm like there's some very strange stuff here I can't really explain in a natural way. The jutting rocks and crumbling ruins scattered across the forest floor seem to soak up this newfound insight right before me. We tread along the earth's ancient scars, pausing for a moment in appreciation. I sling my pack down to my feet and move it to sit beside the wolf. Did his tail just wag? Yes, it definitely did. I was about to go backwards to do the animation again. This must be extremely modular sprites. Modular sprites are interesting because it's just like such a process, I think, to figure out how to connect all the different pieces, but having to do that in like such a rendered, detailed rendered art style with fur patterns and everything, being able to cut that into pieces has to be wild. Before I can, his large tail snakes around from behind him and occupies what's left of the broken trunk. Here, pup. Anawam extends his paw towards me, pointing at my empty water skin. The wooden cap hanging by an aged milkweed cord. A stream flows nearby, and now is a good time for rest. I feel you growing cold, and I'm in the mood for some tea. I'm surprised your senses are as keen as they are for a wolf of your age, brother. I can't hear the stream myself. Perhaps when you stop panting, you'll hear the flow of the water. It's down the valley there. I can go for us. You can rest your weary paws, old man. Another attempt to get at least some kind of rise out of him. And here I've been nice by calling your aging ass pup. Are you sure you're up for it? I figured you could start the fire while I fetch the water. I'm not quite ready to rest just yet. We both know you're better at starting a flame anyways. I push my pack away with my foot and approach the wolf, scanning his gear for the other skin he carries. Alright, if you feel you're up for it. I am. The thought of the cold water on my feet is all the convincing I need. Just be careful out there, Whistle if you need me. I give him a mildly disheartened look. He still doesn't fully trust me. Better to err on the side of caution is all I'm saying. The stream isn't far. He nods his head back to the thick woods. I take the skin from his rough paw before kneeling to gather my own, then shift over to Anawam's pack to untie the third empty skin from its side. Understood. Perhaps I'll stop panting just long enough to hear it. We share a playful smile before I head out. Before long, I hear the soft murmur of the stream beyond my sight, weaving through the crags and trees. Even now, I'm humbled by Anawam's sharpened senses. Never has the magic faded from the moments where he reads my body to know when the chill of my scar begins to take hold. I wonder, will a new world open before me in the wake of the ritual? Like the waking of a hazed dream? What would this forest look like through the eyes of a track? My eyes fixate on the sharp imprints dotting the earth that the fallen leaves left bare. I don't bother searching for the subtle deteriorations that time leaves on a track more than a day or two old. These are fresh. My fingers push into the sides of the track lightly. The moisture draws out the walls as I prod. Very fresh, a few hours at most. I scan outwards from the first set as I lower the water skins down into the forest floor. There. 4 digits, the outer 2 slightly fanning away from the center. A doer fox, perhaps? A female, if I'm right. The tracks dance along, displaying the alert yet confident stride of a fox that knows these woods well, heading down to the stream for a quick drink. I get down low and follow along the indentations and displaced debris, careful to not get ahead and disrupt them. An abrupt pause, and a timid step backwards. Something took her notice. A threat. Here, a set slightly deeper than the others, images of her crouching down low, her weight given the time to sink down into the soft floor, dance across my mind's eye. She takes a few cautious steps forward, heading for the safety of a rock formation piercing through the thin trees. I'm practically crawling now, stepping through the woods with my hands and feet, mimicking her steps with my own. My heart pounds as if it were I who were being hunted. A deep track tearing through the mud and moss as she makes a drastic pivot, a broken twig, a trampled fern. She's almost to the rocks, and then I stare at the last set, smeared and dragged across the soil, flailing violently. It's not until I look up in search of the predator's tracks that the abnormal silence of the forest dawns on me, save the pounding of my heart, drumming inside the walls of my head. No bird song, though I see them mocking me from above. No whisper of the wind, though I see the branches playing. Ah! That's creepy. The woods around me shatter in a flash that rips through my body. I crumble onto the floor, leaving my own marks on its skin. Worry floods my dimming heart, and my eyes begin to close, the air so thin. Is that the spirit of the fox, or is it the deity? For the briefest of moments, a relief washes over me as I imagine the fox somehow escaped their fate. Until I notice the sight of the forest through their ephemeral form, shifting like a reflection on water. What is this? My voice echoes and flows outside the boundaries of my body, as if they were always just a suggestion. An attempt to live myself from the ground fails, as the remaining sense of my body falls away. The air vibrates with a low hum that's building, a distant thunder approaching at a sprint. Who? The figure, comprised of veils of light, delicately enfolds its shimmering arms around the fluctuating body of the fox. She feels at once familiar and as alien as the darkest stars in the distant night sky. Mother? We're having a wild day. Just trying to get some water. I come to as the vision fades abruptly. The scent of pine and wet earth seeps into the focus as I open my eyes. What the fuck was that? I pant for breath, clutching at my side. My scar sends waves of lessening pain through my bones. Sharp moments like these have struck me before, but never like this. Rolling over onto my back, I stare up at the canopy dancing unperturbed in the breeze. I've never seen anything during an attack. Scanning the floor yields no trace of the fox where it stood before me, no tracks of a woman clad in flowing light. What nature of omen was that? The beauty of the visions clash against an unsettling feeling growing in my heart. Was that? Memories of her flood back to me. The feel of her skin, the flow of her skirt, in the wind as I chase her, the fading melody of her voice eroding to the waves of time. It couldn't have been her. She's long at rest. Worry starts to descend on my mind as I try to make sense of what I just saw. Lived? Damn it, why now? A memory flickers. Soren, I'm just concerned for you. Calm down. Anoam blankets my shoulder with a paw and looks into my eyes as I let out a tired sigh. Anoam, we can't afford to sit in the bows and wait for a day that might not come. What if I never improve? Who can say that I will? I am moon-called. I'll be ready. I must be. I think we already read this one, right? Yeah. Or maybe not. But we already get this overall through context. A lot of it doesn't really need its own description, if we're being honest. Let's see. But the, I was trying to figure out whether or not being moon-called is tied to having the scar, but it sounds like no. They're talking about being moon-called separately. So I think this is just a separate blight that he suffered, and it might, and like, maybe it's something that might get healed by, doing the ritual. But it's like, it gives it a ticking clock, so there's tension in the narrative. Otherwise, I was like, did the wolf deity give it to him? And now, because the wolf deity made him moon called, so I was like, did it give him the scar? But that seems to just be also happening. Odorim howls to me, calling me to the rend, calling me to give myself, just as he once called you. Anoam stands silently for a moment before I'm pulled into an embrace, my face nestling into the thick fur of his chest. Soren, being moon-called is one thing, fulfilling that calling is another. The ritual is as much a physical trial as it is spiritual. Even a healthy man's body would be pushed to its limits. You have to understand where I'm coming from here. His heart beats through the thick muscle of his chest, slow and rhythmic. He's not awash in his emotions, as I am in mine. So that, yeah, so him being unwell is completely separate and unusual. And I respect that, as I do you, always. But I've been stable these past several months of training, and what happened today wasn't anywhere near what they used to be. I know I can't continue to wait. The seasons that pass are losing their colors in my heart. It feels like the roots of the boughs are closing in around me and the air is growing still. I feel trapped. I'd rather follow this calling until my body gives way than spend what's left of my soul waiting here. His broad jaw comes to rest on the crown of my head as his embrace tightens with a deep breath, pushing at me through muscle and fur. I hear you, Soren. I will never be a force in your life that binds you, I promise you that. Yet still I worry. Will you allow me to come with you? I open my stinging eyes. Anoam, you'd return to the Cantharos for me? Cantharos for me? I had thought... A deep chuckle rumbles out, and a series of pats on my back keep me from finishing what I knew I would say. Life is a flowing river, brave pup, and it bends to the rhythm of change. I would be wise to follow it. I encircle my arms around his bulk, as though to hold us there in the fleeting warmth of that moment. So something's up with him, then. We're building intrigue here a bit. There's some dangling threads to wonder about. Does he have a bad history there? Did he swear never to return to that location? Is it tied to the ritual of being Moontouched itself, and that was bad enough, or did something else go on? Did he have a history at that place as like some kind of lead? I almost wonder, as an elder, if he had like a leadership role of some kind, and then was cast out or quit, or turned his back on it. Thank you. Damn it. No, I have this. A hollow assertion in the midst of doubt, but it's enough to get me back onto my feet. The skins are where I left them some 15 paces back. He is a hairy man underneath those tattoos. Barefoot. Just kind of some wraps, yeah. On the weakest parts. Oh. So that's the body of the animal that we saw the spirit of a moment ago? Its wounds look purple. With the pain largely quelled and no sign of the fox, I gather the replenished water skins and begin to trace my steps back. He didn't find it. That's just for us, apparently. So he doesn't know that it has what looks like weird wounds. Or at the very least, something got it. And he never found tracks, so it might be something airborne. When I talk about the quietness here, there's like there's this worrying feeling that something is wrong around here. Something predatory. So it makes you wonder, is it invisible? Or blending really well? Is it a thing that climbs in the trees? Does it fly? Is it the trees? Do the trees attack? It's not long before a familiar whistle cascades down through the valley and past me as I make my way up the hillside. The gentle bird song that had been humming through the trees halts for a brief moment, as if the birds were offended by the dissonance in their choir. Stopping on a rock perched high, I bring my clasped hand to my lips, the chill of the stream still clinging to them. Summiting the rest of the hill, I see Anawam on the bluff ahead, though not in the way I expected to find him. Is he bug-ass naked? Is that what that's my first guess? Nope, I accidentally skipped one. An abandoned pile of birch kindling and twigs lay at his feet, his worn cloak tied to his body by the sling of his pack. Is it that he hasn't started the fire yet? There you are. I was just about to follow your scent. The stream wasn't that far. What took so long? Impatient for that tea, are we? It's only been a handful of minutes. Try 30 or so. You had me worried. That vision lasted but a moment to me. Could it have been that long? Anawam looks down at me expectantly. Ooh, do you tell the truth or not? I move in towards my pack, now resting at the ready against the fallen tree. Crouching to secure the water skin to its side, I take a slow breath. He deserves to know. I had another attack. I clutch at my cold side as I look up at the wolf. His ears flick toward the canopy above, and his eyes widen as he moves steadily, lowering his pack and kneeling beside me. I'm alright, really. It just happened suddenly. One moment I was following a fresh fox track, and the next, I guess I must have lost consciousness for a while there. I feel his warm palms move my hand away and press themselves into my skin. The rough pads between rivers of soft fur delivering their heat. Worry fills his eyes. I knew I should have gone with you. You're very cold here. Woo? He leans back to unfasten his cloak before wrapping it around me. Oh no, concerned? His strong and familiar musk carries warmth into my lungs as the cloak settles on my shoulders. Anawam, please. Truly, I'm alright. It was a fleeting moment of pain. Or at least that's how it felt to me. I can't tell him everything. The omen I saw, it would only frighten him more than he already is. Laying my hand on the outside of his knee draws his eyes from where they were fixated on my scar up to meet mine. It hasn't lingered. I feel fine. Save the coddling for when I really hurt myself. Anawam lets out a small smile, just strong enough to hold back his true concern. Please don't. A warm paw and a cloak won't be able to cover much more than this. I'm glad you're alright, though. Thank you for telling me. For your trust. I know my worry burdens you. The irony, I chose to trust him, but we actually are hiding something from him regardless. Your bond with Anawam grows stronger. Of course. Thank you for holding yourself at bay this time. and for the warmth. The tongue. I tug at the cloak and Anoam exhales. His large shoulders loosen and relax. A few tail wags and a lick to re-wet his nose tells me that he's mostly at ease again. Would that I had made a fire so we could warm you up properly, but something's happened. Come and see. He turns tail and walks out toward the open sky. I follow and come to stand at the lip of the cliffside. See that there? That's the barrier. His extended claw points toward a large dome comprised of fragile light fighting against the sun-soaked sky. In the top left, I take it? That seems like what they mean. By the moon. There it is. I didn't realize we were this close. Aye, we've come a long way. Now look there. Is it the fact that somebody else started a fire and this will give away our location if we start one? A tall smoke signal rises on what looks to be a shoulder of the Cantharus's halo. A slight tinge of green tints the base of the rising column. The Silver Boughs party? What are they doing this far west of the halo? Well spotted. And that's the question I've been pondering since it started to rise. They were meant to wait at the entrance to the southern pass until we arrived. Regardless, that signal is for us. Are you well enough to travel out? We squint at the rising smoke as Anoam places a paw across my shoulders. Yes, absolutely. Let's not keep them waiting. How much of a distance is that to cover? I secure my gear and quickly tie the spare water skin onto Anoam's back. My mind lingers on the vision I experienced amidst the pain. The fox. The woman. A touch of guilt joins me as I watch Anoam secure his pack and gesture at me towards the trail. Some truths are better held, at least for now. Are they though? Is that wise? Another angle just approaching that smoke signal. These backgrounds are wild. The art in general is wild, just a huge production. I think that's a decent little bit of intrigue and setup to hook people if they're curious. So I think that's going to be where we stop for our little preview episode. This has been Moontouched. You can check out the full game via the link in the description if you are an adult and interested in adult content. Otherwise, you can also check out the link in the description where I have compiled a playlist of all of the other many visual novels that I've covered so far over the last few years. There are so many. And every time I see one like this, too, where there's so much work going into it, I'm like, oh my god. Just the sheer breadth of the fandom and people's drive to create, and the way that it inspires other people to create, and like just being immersed in all this just makes you want to make things all the time. I'm taking a break from drawing art for somebody right now to do this real quick, and I'm going to go right back to that the moment I'm done. And so I'm eager to go back to creating too. Thanks for watching like always, guys, and I'll see you next time.